Hello to you. Today is August 31st, the very last day of August. This is Talent Talk. I am Jurgen, and today I am joined with yo boy Steve.
Woo!
And should I say it like this? Yo girl, Davina.
Woo!
How you guys doing?
Good morning, you guys.
Good morning. How you doing? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you guys all.
Happy
Jurgen
last
said-
day of August.
I know. Jurgen mentioned August 31st. I'm like, holy smoke. This year is like just flying by. 2020. One for the books.
Summer is wrapping itself up.
Stop. Those are
Yeah, I
bad.
think I'm gonna have to change my background since I don't ever put anything back on the green screen right now. Now I'm just green on green. I don't know what that means, but
I think we're all green today, aren't we?
yeah.
We are.
Kind of
Yeah, I
goes
didn't
along
know.
with our guest with like green.
Oh,
energy.
yes.
No.
We are green for our guest.
Okay, I won't change it today then, okay?
And we also are green about the subject that our guest is going to enlighten us about.
You mean envious?
No, not green with envy. Green with naivety.
Not green with thumb.
Oh gosh, we have Christy in the back. She's keeping us on track, and we actually have a couple of birthdays that we want to celebrate, or at least give a shout out for. We've got Megan Gillespie. Her birthday was yesterday, so
Happy birthday!
yes. And today, our sweet Riley. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Yes, so wanted to give those shout outs this morning. So anyway, what is our subject of today?
Oh, it's a bright subject.
It is. Today we are talking about solar energy.
Ooh, illuminate us.
Yeah. But before we get that, I think we've got a trivia, don't we?
We do have a trivia question. And this is, who knows the answer to this question? I'm telling you. So today's trivia question, we are talking about solar energy. Our guest has to do with being green and solar energy. So our question is about solar energy. And it is, how much solar energy reaches the Earth's surface at any given moment? Thank goodness this is multiple choice. 173 terawatts, 1.73 terawatts, 17,300 terawatts, or 173,000 terawatts. And you know what? I don't even know, what is a terawatt? How big is a terawatt? I know the light bulb, like we've got the 100-watt light bulb, right? I don't even know how many watts are in a terawatt, but I'm thinking it's a lot. So I think our guest had mentioned, like, there's 1 terawatt is like a billion or something, like, I don't know.
It's 1 trillion watts.
Is in 1 terawatt.
Yeah, 10 to the 12th power.
Okay. Here is
Who's reading that?
1 trillion watts is in 1 terawatt.
Oh.
So at any given moment, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
Well, we're going to have to ask our guest
we are.
as he comes on.
Yeah.
So,
But I'm thinking big. When I think of solar energy, just go big. Go big or go.
go big.
I mean, what, 100-watt light bulb does what? Now let's take how many 100-watt light bulbs?
Right? 100 trillion? Is it 1? I don't know. Anyway, I think we need to introduce our guest.
I think so. And I'm excited about this person coming on. I met our guest here several years ago when we were out shopping for homes, helped him find a home. I'm excited to have him on here because in 2008, he started his own company. He's a founder and president. He's been interested in green energy movement for the last 40 years. He's a former high school STEM teacher and with the UW Masters in Physics. So I want to introduce him. He is Kirk Haffner.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm not sure I can match your guys' energy. It's Monday morning after all. But I'll do my best.
We call this delirium.
Okay.
Good morning, Clark. I'm glad you could join us today. Thank you for coming on. So, just kicking stuff off, how did you start the solar company, or why did you start the solar company?
I was interested in solar in high school, and in many ways, actually, I was bored in school. I was a good student. I stared outside and watched a vent fan on top of the gym spin around, and I wondered about it. And I checked in with custodial; it had been closed off. The wind was making that vent fan spin, and it literally got my brain spinning. And I just renewable energy, solar, wind became a hobby. But back in the early '80s, there wasn't really an industry, and so realizing that, I opted for other careers. I like to joke I'm in the third half of my career. As you mentioned, I started off as a high school math and science teacher. I worked for Intel Corporation as an engineering manager for years, and then I left Intel to start my solar business, South Sound Solar.
Huh. Okay. Good.
This is, and I'm interjecting here on this, like way over my head. Like, I feel like, there's so much to learn about the subject. So.
Yeah, and what's really important on that, my educational background really plays a part in the business. I like to joke that we don't do sales, but it's actually true. We're not out there to sell consumers something. We're out there to educate them. If they're going to be spending, tens of thousands of dollars potentially on a renewable energy system, we want them to have the information they need so they can make the best decision. And that's how we approach it. And, 12 years later, we're very successful. I'm just blessed. I've got a great team. We're established, reputable, and doing great projects in the community.
I think the question is mine here. So, what I was thinking about is, when you're driving through Eastern Washington or some of the areas where there's a lot more sunshine, you can see these big fields of solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Western Washington and occasionally see them on homes, especially in our area. How do solar panels actually work when we don't always have sun?
No, that's a great question. So that's, part of the education we do. Solar works year round, even here. It'll produce energy 365 days a year. But the fact of the matter is we have the lowest solar insolation values on the continental U.S. And it's not insulation, the fiberglass and fill in a house. Insolation with an O is a measure of the sun's light energy. And we're only at about 1,000, 1,100 watts per meter, whereas in other parts of Eastern Washington, as you mentioned, 1,400 to 1,700 watts per meter, over 2,000 watts per meter square down in Arizona. However, in the Pacific Northwest, we have two things going for us that are unique. One is summertime, we have longer days because we're further north. As we know, sun rises at 6 a.m. and it's setting right now at just about 8. And the other one that benefits us is we have cooler temperatures. And actually, solar panels are not as efficient when they get really hot. And so with that, solar works just fine in the Pacific Northwest. And, there's my memory from the last data from WSU, we've got about 20,000 solar installs in Washington State. And there's a lot of people, myself and my business included, where we net zero. And net zero means we produce as much electricity in a year as we use in a year.
That's awesome.
That is. So getting into that, where it actually is beneficial, how, what are the benefits? Like, how do we benefit from putting these solar panels on on our properties?
Oh, great. Yes. So with any consumer, one of the things they're looking at is to, one of three things. One is to be more self-reliant. Two is to have a smaller carbon footprint. And three is just cost, to lower their utility bills. And so when you're producing solar electricity on your own property, one of the key benefits is you've just cut your solar electric bills drastically. And even better, as the price of electricity continues to go up, the value of the electricity produced by the solar panels goes right up with it. And so solar systems right now will pay for themselves typically in the low teens, anywhere from 10 to 14 years, depending. And this is a product that will last 30 to 40 years. They've got a long lifespan. Other people, we find various things. They want to lower their carbon footprint. We have customers that will literally replace gas appliances with more energy efficient electric appliances. And then, they know that they're producing their own electricity from clean, renewable energy, solar, and to lower their carbon footprint. Another one that happens is the electric car movement. We get a lot of people that really just like the idea of, hey, I'm going to make my own electricity to power my transportation and really lower my carbon footprint in that way. So those are all examples. And then there's another side to it that comes up later is, well, what about the resiliency? I have a battery backup system on my property. If the power goes out, I have clean, renewable energy to keep my freezers, lights, computers in the office going, and without having to use a fossil fuel to run a generator.
Wow.
So sorry to stump you.
Yeah, no, you don't just talk it, you live it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's even more than that. I built my own electric car 10 years ago. I affectionately call it my Tesla prototype. But
You does it drive?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's around the drives every day.
Really?
Except in the wintertime. It's a little bit cold and when it's wet. But
yeah, you didn't happen to actually make that also solar powered, did you?
Well, actually, that's funny you mentioned that, because on the side of it, it says 100% solar powered. And people look at it, the car, and they go, where are the solar panels on the car? And I'm like, they're on my roof. We don't drive around with a gas station in our trunk. We just have the fuel. And in this case, that solar electricity fuel is stored in the batteries that are in the car.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
How fast does it go?
Oh, it's got a top speed of about 70 miles an hour. Remember, this is a home build. Okay. But as an example, from where we live, my son used it as a commuter car when he went to SPSCC, which was about a 22-mile round trip. Yeah.
Yeah. And it does have an actual accelerator, like I was going to say gas pedal, but it's obviously not a gas pedal. It's not like pedal based, right? You're not.
So what it is it's a 1999 Ford Escort 4-door SE that was converted. Basically what I did is I took out all the fuel stuff and put an electric motor and a battery set where the gas tank was. So everything, brakes, clutch, lights, radio, everything is the same on that. You hit the accelerator, it goes, you let off on it, and it coasts. Yeah.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to get back. You've got this interesting trivia question. Is there a way for people to chime in and see if they know what the answer is on that?
I think
there is. I guess we can ask. We typically, right after we finish our questions, we go into the trivia. But Christy, are people answering, Christy?
Yeah, people get to answer. There's a poll that comes out right on the Facebook Live as soon as they come in. They can go in and answer the question, and on the back end, it lets me know how many people voted on which answer.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share some information that doesn't give the answer away. Okay. But it's an interesting fact that more sunlight strikes the Earth in an hour than the entire human population uses in a year. Okay?
Wow.
That's how much sun energy we get that strikes the Earth's surface. It's a lot.
Wow. Wow, that's a
Yeah.
lot. Think about that. More than everyone in the world uses in the year. That's how much. Wow.
In 1 hour. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting though. I mean, the sun actually gets absorbed and like that energy gets used in a lot of different ways beyond just being harnessed for solar, just like for heat, for water.
Right. All the objects on the Earth's surface, whether solid, liquid, or gas, absorbs that energy, and that's getting back to another conversation we started earlier about conservation and energy efficiency. That's where heat pump technology comes into play. And as I say to people, in a way, that's solar energy, right? The sun strikes the earth and the air warms up, and we're able to tap into that heat that's available in the ambient air and concentrate it down and bring it into the house via a heat pump heater or a heat pump water heater, or now they even have heat pump dryers that are 300% efficient. That means they, just using the numbers, that means they use a third of the electricity as a traditional water tank or dryer or heating unit would use.
You sound like a science teacher.
Sorry. Did I mention that?
I want to go back to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Steve, you got our next question, right?
I do. And I just thinking about this, and we were talking about like the cost benefits and the savings that you get a lot of times with using solar. How does that affect the value of properties for homes that actually do have solar attached to it?
Yeah, that's what's so nice about this is you're giving me all the questions that a regular consumer that's interested in solar would get, or somebody that's interested in finding out more. So it's several things on that. Number one, it is a real property improvement, even though, and this is important, it doesn't affect property taxes, which is nice. So in terms of the value, what happens is there's actually studies done that you can look up. The Lawrence Livermore Laboratories did studies. I think the first one was back in 2008, and the second one was updated in 2015. And they looked at the houses that were on the market and compared houses that had solar on them versus houses that did not, and where they sold in the market. And the houses that had solar obviously were selling for more. And it was twofold on that. One is the offset investment. Wow, it's already there. I don't have to pay to put it on. And the second piece on that is lower utility bills. And I think you folks know, and the market data clearly indicates that houses that are more energy efficient, that have lower utility bills, are worth more on the market. So you get both benefits with solar. Valuing solar is a little bit trickier though, because 10 years ago, we were installing solar in the price range of about $8 to $10 a watt. It was expensive. And there were other incentives in play back then that made it more affordable for consumers. Now where the market rate on solar can be as low as $2 a watt, $2.50 a watt. So if you're going to value solar that's already existing on a property, you got to look at current market valuations or replacement cost, if you will. You can't go back to, a $50,000 system from 2010 that would now be a $20,000 system in 2020.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps.
Yeah,
kind of a build-on question. It's something you mentioned just here and earlier. You'd mentioned that typically it takes about the low teens, 10 to 14 years to essentially break even, recoup costs on it. But you also mentioned that there are incentives to be able to do that. I'm curious about that. And then on the other side, sometimes you end up with an excess of energy. Mm-hmm. And there's something you can do with that as well, right?
Yes. I'm writing notes so I remember. Okay, incentives. First of all, we used to have a production incentive. There used to be that they put on an extra meter and you got paid for all the electricity that your system produced. That program ended in 2018. Mm-hmm. We'd had a long run with it from 2006 to 2018. But what happened was diverting money away from the legislature. And we knew, and even the industry agrees, that eventually we want solar to be able to stand on its own. So that was one that existed that no longer exists. I want to be clear about that. But right now, what does exist is still the investment tax credit or the federal tax credit. It used to be at 30%. It dropped this year in 2020 to 26%. Next year, it drops to 22%. And then in 2022, it's scheduled to go to zero. For commercial properties, they get to retain a 10% tax credit. So that's one of the things that we're working on in the federal legislature, the federal government, is to extend and renew that tax credit. Now, originally, it was first proposed and passed under the Bush administration. The Obama administration actually strengthened it and lengthened it. And we've got good support on both sides of the aisle. We've had, when we pass solar bills, typically it's an 80%, passage rate. So good bipartisan support. So to get back to it, right now we have the federal tax credit. The second one is no sales tax, okay, that we got passed back in Washington State, which is great. And then the third one is what you asked about in terms of you produce more energy, what happens? It's called net metering. And net metering was also shored up in Washington State in 2018 in the legislature. What that means is the utility is obligated to give you a full credit for all the electricity you generate, whether you use it or not. Okay? So if I use it on my property, I'm using electricity that I've produced. That means that's electricity I didn't have to buy from the utility. Okay? So my bill's lower. If, and this happens a lot, if I produce extra, especially during the summer months, it will go back out onto the grid. And the utility, when we do solar installs, they change out the meter and they put in what's called a bi-directional meter or a net meter. It measures what's coming in from the utility, but it also measures what's sent back. If I send them a kilowatt hour, they credit me a kilowatt hour on my next month's bill. And they'll continue to do that month after month. So I still even have a $0 electric bill in January, not because of my production for that month, but because of what I produced back during the summer months and saved up.
Nice.
So that's the real benefit. Now, the utility will take your bill to zero, but they won't take it to negative numbers on an annual basis. So they'll credit you month to month, but by state rule, state law actually, at the end of March, if you have any extra, it goes to zero. It goes away.
Yeah.
And so when we size solar systems for a property, it's really important to know what their electric bill is. Size doesn't matter. And that's, one thing that's true about solar. We can put a small system on a roof and, cover a month or 2 months worth. We can put a large system on a roof and cover a year's worth. But we don't want to put such a large system on a roof that it's producing more energy on an annual basis than what the property is using, because then they're just making a charitable donation to, our investor-owned utility, which doesn't really make sense.
So there's no reason to oversell.
No. Oversize, yeah. And actually, that's pretty hard to do. In the Pacific Northwest, a typical home could use 12 to 15,000 kilowatt hours in a year. Producing 12 to 15,000 kilowatt hours in a year is a fairly large system. Another example in terms of sizing the system, we just finished up one of the largest net meters arrays in Washington State. We put over 100 kilowatts of solar energy on Centralia Hospital. Covers a whole roof of the hospital area, just getting up and running. But it's only going to cover about 2% of what the hospital actually consumes. You think about everything that's on in a hospital with 24/7. So it just gives you an idea.
Nice. Davina?
Yeah, and what, just real quick, I don't know that we made it clear that your company name is South Sound Solar. It is local, based out of Olympia, Washington. So I just want to make sure that we put that out there as well. We'll also give an opportunity for you to give some more of your contact information right before we end. But gosh, there's so many questions, and I don't even think we're going to get to all of the questions in the time that we have. But so say I'm interested in getting solar panels and, just concerned about the time that it would take to just get all set up. How long does that process take?
The actual installation can go pretty quick. I've got a real experienced crew. Typical residential system we can have on the roof in 2-3 days. But then I describe the process as the hurry up and wait. All right, because after we do that, we have to pass electrical inspection, and we have to get approval from the utility, and before they interconnect, before they make that system go live. And so, yeah, it can be a couple weeks after the installation is done before you're up and running. But we walk through the process with the customer the whole time. Typically, in terms of making the decision to purchase a solar system and get it installed, to getting financing, to scheduling and everything, could be the 6 to 8 week timeline. But with my company and most reputable companies, we're your single point of contact. We're taking care of the utility paperwork. We're taking care of the building permit if we're within city limits. We're taking care of the interconnection agreement with the utility. We work with 13 different utilities in our service area. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Another question that people often anticipate is like, wow, this is going on the roof. What does this mean about the roof? Well, the mounting systems have really evolved over the years, and we're working with a warranted mounting system, guaranteed not to leak. It's all stainless steel, aluminum, and a flash. We're not relying on neoprene or rubber gaskets that can wear out over time. So it's not an issue on the roof, other than if the roof is in imminent need of replacement. You want to get a new roof before you right? Because otherwise we got to take the whole system off and put it back on again for a roof replacement, which we do. And another one that's in there is maintenance. Well, what's the upkeep? Well, once the solar system is up and running, there's really no maintenance except for it's recommended about once a year that the panels get washed, just like cleaning the gutters and washing windows, okay? And so that's a service that we provide. We do the first year cleaning for our customers for free. I think we're one of the few installers in Washington State that still offer that. And we've networked with other cleaning companies, like window cleaning companies, and make sure that they have the processes and procedures and product that's appropriate for cleaning panels. But real quick, cleaning solar panels is simple. It's like washing a car, mild soap and a soft brush. The tricky part is safety, right? Being up on a roof. So that's where you got to be really careful.
Okay. Wow, that's lots of good information, good stuff. So Kurt, if someone was interested in maybe getting had some more questions, maybe even getting an estimate to get solar panels on the property, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, just give us a call. We're on the web, obviously, at southsoundsolar.com. Okay. And we, just like any modern business, we've got ways to you can come in through the web, give us a phone call, etc. You're seeing our business operations behind me right now. There's calendar, schedule, appointments, events. We work out of a small office. But the other thing is we have a limited service area. We're taking pretty much all of Southwest Washington from mountains to coast, etc. Up to Seattle. We try not to go into King County. There's a lot of good solar installers up there. But two things to look for. One is there's a trade group called the Solar Installers of Washington. We're in the process of changing our name to being an extended member of the Solar Energy International Organization. But the Solar Installers of Washington, our membership is vetted. And what that means is, we gotta be able to prove that we're doing educational type of sales, quality installs, etc. Also, utilities oftentimes will have a short list of installers that they've worked with, and we're a tier 1 installer with PSE, for example. So those are other ways to find information about who's a reputable installer in your area.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. And Kirk, you've been really generous with the time. You're giving us a lot of info. So I know we got to start to wrap. David, anything to go prior to wrapping? Wrapping up, not just
I'll
wrapping up.
get the beat box going for you. Okay?
I thought Steve was going to drop the beat.
Yeah, I just, this is there again. There's a lot more questions, so I'm really just happy that you came on and shared the info. I feel like I know more now than I did before. 30 minutes ago, I knew so much less than I did. So thank you. I'm a better person already today. We all are.
You're better for your environment right now.
Exactly.
Well, I'm going to anticipate, if I could, there's one change in the real estate industry that I would like to see.
Okay.
And that is for sellers to share their utility bills. I know that sometimes that's considered confidential information, but I think it's a real good way for prospective buyers to go, wow, how much electricity, how much energy does this home use? And I hope that it gets shifted and becomes more of a standard, because even when we sell houses with solar on them, that's one of the questions. It's right there on the utility bill. Sorry to interrupt, but
no, that's good. Right now, we have to. I think the only thing we can get right now is kind of an average over the year of what the cost of the utilities are. We aren't able to get an actual amount unless that is specific from the seller. So
that's a common question that the buyers have nowadays when they're buying, especially if everything in there's electric, especially baseboard electric. So
yes.
Yeah.
Before we give the answer to trivia, it might be interesting. Kirk, do you know the answer, or do you have a guess on the answer for the trivia question?
Yeah, I know the answer. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Earlier, it's not a billion, but it's 1,000 billion. But yes.
Then it's just not fair to ask you.
Give it? Is that? Am I being queued up here that I didn't realize?
No.
He can do it if he knows the answer. I'm ready for him.
It's
okay.
173,000 terawatts.
Yay! Yes, that is correct.
You know your stuff, Kirk.
Not that we doubted that you knew that, but
that's the science teacher in you.
Yeah, Kirk is an expert in the field.
Yeah, and just a shameless plug for you, Kurt. So when we were talking, you actually used to provide clock hour education for appraisers and real estate agents. So we're going to rally around you to get that back, so you can start teaching those again. But yeah, so.
Well, it's really great how the industry has changed, because now banks will do loans and take into account the appraised value of solar, even in new construction. Yeah. The Federal Savings, for example, has 3 branch banks that have solar on it. They understand it.
Very good. Very good. So
thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
This has been really good. Thank you so much. And I'll be tapping into you for some resources. And one of the things as real estate agents is we don't have to know everything. We just need to know someone that knows something about the thing that we don't know about. And so thank you for being that.
We don't have to be the experts. We just need to know the experts.
Absolutely. Yep. So thank you for joining us, Kirk.
You're so welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you, Kirk. Man, good guy. Tons of information. So
I was wanting to sing "You Are My Sunshine," but I shouldn't.
Oh, it's okay.
No. I mean, I shouldn't sing.
Oh, well, sunshine on my shoulder makes me happy.
And while you got that singing in your head, I will go over the updates and the news for this coming week. So, a few real estate news and updates coming up for this week. This Wednesday, to our John L. Scott family, we have our business meeting as usual at 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. This Thursday coming up, we have our elite meet for the top 3 brokers in every office. So we'll reach out to you guys, send you out reminders and some more information on what's coming up in our elite meet. We also have Forums Friday coming up this Friday at 9 a.m. Then, as always, we have Facebook Friday. Not sure who the guest is right now. I'm not sure if they even rolled it out, but we will bring you an update as far as who will be coming out Facebook Friday on the John L. Scott Facebook page. And then, as always, we have our market update on Fridays with Jurgen and Davina. They'll be giving you the new listings that come on this week, the open houses, and going over what's going on in the real estate market here in the county. So stay tuned. We got lots of stuff coming at you. And that is the news and the updates for this week.
Take controls away from Jurgen. All right. Well, it's about that time. And, we do have another thing that's happening all over our area, which is brand new to us, is school starting online remotely. And so as parents and teachers and students, we're going to be entering into a new season of education. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll keep many prayers out for all of you, because it really is going to be an experience over the next probably couple of weeks here to make those adjustments and help. It's different.
It's new meaning to homeschooling. Like, parents that never thought they'd ever homeschool their kids are now homeschooling their kids.
But there's an aspect, but they're not too. It's like just making sure they've got a space to actually tune into the class, because the teachers are still doing the class, but making sure that they are being able to take virtual attendance. Like, your child is actually on the class at the right time.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be different. So, yeah, let's just make sure we give everyone grace in the process too, because we're all going through this together, and it's not really a choice that any of us have, but we just need to embrace it.
I think that's really, really good advice, Davina. Like, grace, not only for teachers, administrators, those types of things, but the people we're just encountering in everyday life. Because I know it is going to be adjusting my wife's schedule very much, my schedule at times, your schedule. There are a lot of people that are going to be impacted over the next, as we're figuring this out over the next couple of weeks. So,
yep. So, all right. Well, now it's time.
Goodbye
to all the family.
Right. We've got to think of something that. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Who's going to take us out today? Any last thoughts?
It's Monday. It's going to be a great week. We're here to kill it.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be, it was a great one to talk about today, because this is going to be a nice, or it's supposed to be, the forecast is calling for a nice sunny week.
That's right.
That's good, because I don't see it right now, but it's coming.
I don't either. My tan is starting to fade, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
Just get back out. The sun. Hey, 173,000 terawatts hits the surface at any given time. So you need to go and get some of that, Jurgen.
Yeah, apparently I need to go chase it. I'm chasing the sun.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you guys all for joining. We love having fun. And I love just being with you as well. So thank you for the dose of morning energy and sunshine. So I guess we're going to go on out with the Be Bold in 3. You want to do it?
Let's do
it.
All right. On 3. 1, 2.
Be bold. Be bold.
Bye.